Well. College football fans, Clemson Tiger fans, welcome back to another Clemson Tigers Live here on the Voice of College Football Clemson channel. I am joined by some amazing co-hosts tonight in Jordan and DeAndre. We're going to get into tons of stuff tonight, guys. We're going to get into recruiting. We're going to get into the transfer portal. We're going to get into opt-outs. We're going to get into all things Clemson Tiger tonight. So if you are in the chat right now, do me a favor, hit that like button. It really does help us out on these live videos. It pushes it out there with the YouTube algorithm. It really helps us reach more people. So if you could, please hit that like button. If you're inclined to share it on any of your social media platforms, we would appreciate that as well. Share it on Facebook, share it on Instagram, share it on Twitter. Wherever you are, share our video, bring more people in so we can have better conversations about our Clemson Tigers, okay? And then next, if you are not subscribed to the channel, please do so, okay? We hit our season goal of 4,000 subscribers, but guess what? Best is the standard. We're on to the next, and we're shooting for 5,000 next, okay? So we're shooting for that 5,000 goal on the journey to 5,000. So if you could help us out with that, subscribing is free. So it doesn't cost you anything. Just subscribe and then hit that bell for notifications. It lets you know when we go live, and that's what this show primarily is. So me, Jordan, and DeAndre, we come on here live at least once, sometimes twice a week. We'll see what the off-season schedule looks like. We're still kind of ironing that stuff out. But last but not least, if you want to support the show monetarily at all, please do so. You got the super chat feature. You got the links in the description of this video where you can go on and select the various options to support the show monetarily. We would appreciate that. We would appreciate that as well. If not, that's okay. Just interact with us in the chat. I think that's the most underrated part of this show is our chat section and how they interact with us, and they take us down rabbit holes all the time. So without further ado, I will bring on my co-host, the fan favorite, Jordan Bowman, and also our resident college football historian in DeAndre. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me tonight. How are you guys doing tonight?
Excellent.
I'm feeling good.
Awesome, man.
I'm feeling good.
I'm feeling good as well.
Got done with exams, finals, semester's finally over. So I'm feeling really loose right now.
I heard a rumor, Jordan. I heard a rumor. Tell me if I'm correct. I heard a rumor that you completed your very first semester in grad school. Is that true?
That is correct. Correct. I'm done. It's been a hell of a semester, but this last week was really stressful, between work and school. But this has been a really nice distraction. This show and just doing it with you guys and interacting with all the people in the chat. It's been fun. So I'm just glad to be done. On to bigger and better things, and the holidays are coming around, and I get to kind of just take a chill pill, watch Clemson on December 30th before I go back. So that'll be fun.
Hey, it's a good time to be alive, right?
Hell yeah.
Hey, so congratulations on completing your first semester as a grad student. That is probably an underrated thing. People don't know how difficult that is. So congratulations on that, man. I really admire it. And keep doing the good work.
I appreciate it.
DeAndre, how you doing tonight, brother?
Hey, just trying to make it through the night. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you just fine. You're loud and clear.
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. Just enjoying the day off work, going to the gym.
There you go.
Yeah, getting it in. Hey, man, everybody need to work on their weight, obesity, blood pressure, the silent killer. Yeah, man, if y'all out there, y'all overweight, even if you're not overweight, get out there and work on your weight. that blood pressure and heart disease, all that stuff is real, and it sneaks up on you. That's why it's called a silent killer.
There you go. Words of wisdom from
Oh,
DeAndre.
and speaking of that, yeah, but before we get into anything, I do want to address some news in the college football world that happened in the past couple of days. Obviously, Mississippi State head coach Mike Leach passed away. I believe Monday night. It was announced Tuesday. He was hospitalized on Sunday, and he was airlifted to a hospital, to the hospital, and it wasn't looking good, and he had some art issues that had been plaguing him the entire season, and it finally came to a head on Saturday or Sunday. So I just want to give a shout out to the Mississippi State community and offer our thoughts and prayers, condolences, because college football lost a legend on Tuesday. So I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out Coach Mike Leach. He was truly a gem in college football. Something that you rarely see from college football coaches is true honesty. And I feel like every time he got in front of the camera and every time he was interviewed, you knew exactly what he thought. Good, bad, or indifferent, whether you agree with it or not, it didn't really matter, right? Coach Mike Leach was a guy that would always tell you exactly what he thought, regardless of how controversial or non-controversial his views were. And you can appreciate that as a human being and as a person. And it's really sad news. College football lost a legend in Mike Leach. We lost a very, on a football level, an innovative mind on offense. I think he contributed to a lot of change that we currently see in college football. And he's, he'll be missed in the college football community, but I think he'll just be missed as a person. I know he taught a history class when he was at Washington State, right? And it was like they had to do a lottery just to get into Mike Leach's history class, right? So that says what kind of person he was. Everyone that talks about him talks about how good of a person he was, how real of a person he was. Yes, he was kind of quirky and he was kind of weird and all of that stuff, but he was real and he was 100% Mike Leach all the time, regardless whether there was cameras on him or, he was kind of in a private interview with some, college football talking head, right? Everybody says that Mike Leach was just, he was kind of guy that went to the beat of his own drum. And I think we all can admire that because it's something that could be admired because a lot of people aren't comfortable in their own skin like Mike was. So, hate it for his family. Thoughts and prayers out to his family. I'm sure they are hurting right now. I can't imagine, how his family feels first and foremost. I can't imagine how the players feel at Mississippi State or any of the players that played for him in the past. I'm sure everybody who knew him on a personal level is really struggling right now. And, our thoughts go out to those people. So rest in peace, Mike Leach. And may his legacy go on through the coaches that he touched, which are a lot in college football currently and the NFL for that matter. So what a guy.
Yeah. And also he gave good wedding planning advice.
He did. He did. He told you not to spend money on weddings because they're a waste of money. Words of wisdom by Mike Leach.
Absolutely.
I think we should continue with some segments of words of wisdom from Mike Leach because the dude dropped some gems in his day in the interviews, and I don't even think he did it on purpose, honestly, which makes it even better, right? So rest in peace to Mike Leach. Thoughts and prayers to his family, and to the Mississippi State community and that football community out there.
Absolutely. Swing that sword, Pirate.
Swing that sword, man. Awesome dude. And with that said, it's a tough transition, but we'll kind of transition into the show tonight. This is going to be a weekly show for us here on the Voice of College Football Clemson channel. Me, Jordan, and DeAndre are going to do this every week. We're going to try to continue to bring you content throughout the offseason. Okay, so stick around with us throughout the offseason. Don't go anywhere. Just because games are not being played doesn't mean there's not college football to talk about. There's always college football to talk about, and believe you me, we will come up with stuff to talk about. Okay,
absolutely.
So there is no off season for college football. There's just a period where we play games, and there's a period where we don't play games. Okay, college football is a 365 sport. Believe you me, there's plenty of stuff to talk about. And we will continue to be here to bring you guys content throughout the entire off season, if you will, quote unquote. So with that said, let's get into our first topic of the night, guys. I want to talk a little bit of Clemson recruiting. Okay, Jordan, I know me and you talked backstage a little bit before we started the show. And you have a lot of things to say on Clemson recruiting right now. If anybody's been paying attention to 247 Sports and Clemson's current ranking, we have dropped from 9th to 11th. A couple of Clemson recruits have dropped out of 247's rankings as far as top recruits. A lot of Clemson recruits have dropped, period, whether that be out of the rankings completely or just a little bit. And Jordan's going to talk all about it. So I'm going to turn it over to him about the Clemson recruiting piece. But before I turn it over to him, just let me say Clemson's recruiting class is currently, I think we currently have, 24?
24 commits.
24 commits right now.
Yep.
And the rankings
currently
have
sitting
changed.
at number 11.
Right. Currently sitting at number 11. Some of our, we went from 9th to 11th, and a lot of that is attributed to some of our recruits losing some ground in the 247 rankings. And for more on that, I'll turn it over to Jordan Bowman. Jordan, go ahead and tell the people what's going on with these recruiting rankings, why you feel this happened, and, just overall what's happening in the 247 world of recruiting.
Yeah. Well, 24/7 Sports, as the way they do recruiting is they have their own in-house rankings, and then they have the 24/7 Sports composite ranking, and that the composite ranking is an aggregate of all the major recruiting services. So that's 24/7 Sports, that's Rivals, that's On3, that's ESPN. And they basically just combine those rankings and kind of create an industry consensus on the rankings of these players. Well, 24/7 Sports, they updated their own in-house rankings this past week, and a couple of some Clemson players rose, but a few of them fell. I won't get into all of them, but most notably the 3 5-stars, well, formerly 3 5-stars in Clemson's class, they all changed. One of them rose up, and when the other two dropped, Vic Burley. I'll start with the positive. Vic Burley is now a 5-star in 24/7 Sports in-house ranking. So that is good. His overall composite ranking by in turn rose as well. So that was good. But Peter Woods and Christopher Vezina, defensive line and quarterback, both saw their rankings fall in the 24/7 Sports rankings. And I got to say, that one, those two were real head scratchers, especially Peter Woods, because I don't know if you guys pay attention to recruiting and you guys pay attention to all the camps and the all-star games and high school football in general. You know that Peter Woods has been one of the most dominant players in the country, especially as a senior. This past weekend, he was at the Alabama Mississippi All-Star game, where he was named MVP, and he was a dominant force. Vizina and Woods were at that game, both for Alabama. And Vizina was I'm sorry, not Vizina. Woods was absolutely dominant. I mean, he just could not be blocked. You know, he's going up against some of the top players in Mississippi and in Alabama. He was a monster in practices, and he was a monster in the game. He was named MVP for the entire weekend. I don't know how you watch Peter Woods and not see a 5-star talent. I think he's absolutely a top 30, I think he's a top 20 player in the country.
For sure. Yeah.
Really excited for him to come in. But man, so he dropped to, I believe, I don't think I said it. I believe he dropped to 59 in 24/7 Sports in-house rankings, which dropped his overall ranking in the composite. He still holds a 5-star in the composite rankings, but he lost his 5th star. He doesn't have his 5th star in the in-house rankings, and he dropped it further. So, and by proxy, with him and Vizina dropping, and some other recruits, Clemson's overall ranking dropped as well. So it's just a really frustrating process. I think 24/7 Sports had already done their evaluations before the Alabama Mississippi All-Star game, so they didn't really factor into they didn't get to factor it in, but it's still it's awkward timing, and I don't know. I feel like sometimes these recruiting sites overthink their rankings. I don't want to get too hung up on it, because at the end of the day, these sites are not, they aren't the Bible. They don't, it's not law and set in stone, and these are not perfect rankings, and they have misses. They overrank guys, and sometimes they underrank guys. So it is a little frustrating, though, just from a visual standpoint, because I feel like he, especially Peter Woods, he deserves more than that. I think Vizina is a 5-star talent as well, so I was a little disappointed to see him drop. But hey, it is what it is. That's the world of recruiting. I don't think it's not a frustration that's just contained to Clemson fans. Other cases experience that kind of thing, where they're highly rated guys, or maybe they're too low. But hey, is what it is. But I just want to kind of address that a little bit. But we had positive recruiting news this week.
We did.
Yeah, we did. Fan favorite, one of the best players in the state of South Carolina, Jarvis Green, running back out of Dutch Fork High School. He just committed to Clemson a couple of days ago. It's a long time coming. A lot of fans have been clamoring for Clemson to offer. They finally did last week or 2 weeks. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? And it didn't take long for him to back off from his commitment to James Madison, and now he is a verbal pledge and a member of Clemson's 2023 recruiting class, and Clemson's first running back commitment in this class, something they desperately needed. Absolutely happy to see that Jarvis Green is in the class.
Yeah, Jarvis Green pretty much committed, kind of immediately. I think, he was waiting on the Clemson offer, and as soon as it came, he kind of decommitted from JMU and really committed to Clemson pretty quickly, which, I think all Clemson fans were excited to see him both get the offer and then accept it pretty quickly. I don't think he had to think about it too terribly much.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was, Clemson, he said multiple times, even before the Clemson offer came, He said in interviews, man, if he's like, Clemson was his dream school. If
was
they
always
offered,
his dream school.
yeah, if they offered, it would be a huge deal. And it came, dream come true. Better late than never. And Clemson gets its first running back commit in the class. So
Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Filling some voids there, right? We lost Price, right?
Kobe
Is that right?
Pace.
Kobe Pace, excuse me. So we lost Kobe Pace, and then Clemson immediately offered Jarvis Green, and he committed to Clemson. So all good stuff to see, man. Really, really good stuff.
And I also want to. I kind of want to get Clemson's recruiting class for the 2023 cycle is pretty much all but wrapped up. There's a couple targets left on the board that they are still waiting on. Notably, a 3-star athlete will likely play safety at Clemson. Khalil Barnes, he's scheduled to make his commitment next week. And him, as well as running back Jamarius Haynes from Georgia. These are both Georgia kids.
Yep.
So Clemson is planning to take 2 running backs in the cycle, and Jamarius Haynes is the other one to go along with Jarvis Green.
Right.
So other than that, those are Clemson's class is all but pretty much wrapped up. So I think it'll be a nice bow. I really like Khalil Barnes. He's been a fast riser in this as a senior. He's former Wake Forest commit, and he's kind of risen in the rankings in recent months. I feel really good about where Clemson stands with him, and I still feel pretty good about where Clemson stands with Jamarius Haynes as well. So I think I expect those 2 to be in the class when it's all said and done. And it will be a nice kind of cherry on top to a Clemson recruiting class. So,
absolutely, it would be nice to see just a little bit more out of this class. We'll see where it goes. Hopefully, there's no surprises with our current recruits. There's in the world of college football until they sign. You just never know. Anything could happen. Specifically last cycle, nobody saw, the big guy Hunter going from Florida State to Jackson State, right?
right.
So you just never know until everybody signs. It's kind of up in the air, but for the most part, Clemson class looks solidified. We look like, we have a really solid class. We got some good defensive guys. We got some good people on offense as well. Overall, it's a pretty good class, right? Nothing to be disappointed with. I know, as you talked earlier on, that a couple of our guys dropped in the 247 rankings, which, that is what it is. I'm not going to put too much stock in that. They're literally the same players that we were recruiting when they were higher in 247's rankings, right? So does it make them any less of players because they suddenly drop now in 247's rankings? I don't think so. I trust our coaching staff. I trust their ability to evaluate talent. For the most part, Clemson hits on their talent. So I think this is shaping up to be a pretty good recruiting class. So we'll see. Hopefully everybody signs who we think is going to sign. We got some big names in this class, and I think we got some future Clemson stars in this class as well. DeAndre, you got anything to add for recruiting?
I mean, if we were playing NCAA football on PlayStation or something, I guess it would matter because you always want to have top recruiting classes on the football game.
Right.
So, Jordan, you're too young to know about NCAA football, right?
No, I have several of them.
Jordan, he's been around the block a time or two.
Yeah,
he's a young buck, so I don't know.
He's young, but he ain't that young.
I'm not that young. Come on now. It's not that game is not that old. The last issue was NCAA 14. I still have that game. I play it all the time.
I so do I. But
I think everybody still got that game.
but
all college football fans are holding on.
Yeah, we hold it on hope for that one. But at the end of the day, I think Deshaun Watson came out as with a 4-star. If you go back and look at Clemson's recruiting history, a lot of times because they sound so early, a lot of them do drop off at the side, lose stars and stuff. So I'm not shocked.
Yeah.
So so it happens, and that doesn't say that you're going to be a terrible player. Muse, I think he was a 3-star. Look at what he turned into. You get players like that.
Wasn't ETN a 3-star as well?
He was a 4-star.
He was a 4-star. Okay.
I think it depends on which ranking we could get. I think he was a 3-star because he came out of that triple option at LSU, right? I mean,
no, he was. I remember he was a 4. He wasn't a high 4, but he was a 4.
Yeah, we kind of got on him late, and luckily we got him. I mean, that dude was
because I believe, if I remember correct, LSU was their primary target was Cam Akers, who ended up going to Florida State, had a pretty good career. When he didn't pick when he picked LSU, Clemson had been on Travis Etienne for a long time. And when LSU didn't get Akers, they kind of tried to swing back on him, but Etienne still ended up picking Clemson. It was obviously a really huge recruitment, especially looking back on it.
Which was crazy for us, right? I mean,
absolutely
to pull him out of being right there in basically LSU territory was a good pickup for Clemson. So,
but also you also look at Bowman, who came out of Lakeland. I mean, he a 5-star. Yeah, like what did he do? And
he hasn't done anything in college yet.
No.
And Jason,
didn't he transfer again? Where is he at now?
Central Florida.
He's at UCF. He didn't play at all this year.
Yeah, and Prieston said that was the best Clemson recruited back ever. And so
apparently not.
In terms of rating.
Rating, sure.
I think he was higher. He was higher rated than Spiller was. So.
On the field play, absolutely not. Not even close.
Right.
Ratings are important. I don't want to diminish ratings at all. I think 5 stars and 4 stars and things like that are important. And if your team is built mostly of 4 and 5 stars, I think that's an indication of how good you're going to be. But it's not the end all be all, right? Not every 4-star and 5-star are going to pan out. And, not every 3-star and 2-star are going to be, role players or not elite players. So
but we also saw with Clemson the one with Deshaun Watson. He that was the lowest rated star ranked team to win the national championship. So it also comes into development and just having a special player. Sometimes it's just about that. Michigan State over the years. So, yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
So we'll see how it works out.
We shall see.
I can't wait to see some of these defensive tackles and defensive ends. Early enrollment, the development, I think is more important. If we get these guys in early and develop, I think that makes a big difference in what they're going to do.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah, go ahead, Jordan. No, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay, well, yeah, because on the early enrollee point, and that's a really good point, DeAndre. And every single one of not every single one of them, but a lot of the big name Clemson defensive linemen in this class will be early enrollees. Peter Woods, Vic Burley, and Tamarian Parker, and I believe Finalizing Green is also expected to be a early enrollee. So those are going to be huge for Clemson going into the spring. So getting these guys in early is a really big deal, and that's kind of where you see a lot of the true freshmen that end up being big contributors. It's a good way to carve in a role, and a lot of the best guys are going to be in you're going to be playing in the spring, so that's a huge deal. The guys that we talk about think we could make a big impact, like Peter Woods and Vic Burley, Tamarian Parker. I could see all of them carving in some early playing time. So getting them in early, that's really dope.
I think it's important, right? Because for a defensive line that could lose so much this year, we'll see who leaves, and I don't know if some defensive linemen are just playing with Clemson fans' emotions, or there's any truth to the rumors that are going around, if you will. But this line is probably going to lose a substantial amount of both talent, experience, and depth, right? So I think it's very important to get these freshmen in sooner rather than later. Early enrollees are going to help us out. They'll have the entire spring to go through practice, get reps, play in the spring game, do all of the above in order to contribute for this team. And it's going to be needed. It's going to be needed next season. So I don't think you can overlook any of that.
Yeah, I think Breeze's coming back.
You think so?
Yep.
I know he's considering it.
I think he's truly thinking about it.
The reason why I say that, when Dexter Lawrence came out of North Carolina, everybody talked about if he was to come out early as a freshman, he would have been a top 5 or top 6 pick. But, as time went on, the defensive tackles, the interior ones, they came less effective in the NFL. It's kind of hurt their stock. So that's one of the reasons why I think that he's going to come back as the proven stock. Because it helped the kid out of Georgia, the one I played for the Eagles, he hurt right now. What is his name?
Jordan Davis.
Jordan Davis.
Yes. Yeah. So I think him and Bresee
also from North.
Yeah.
I got to watch him play in person.
They just got all them D tackles up in North Carolina, huh?
Yeah, him and Trenton Simpson were teammates, so that's pretty cool.
Right.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Mallard Creek,
I
shout out
think
to
he's
Mallard
gonna
Creek.
come back. If I was Xavier Thomas, I wouldn't come back.
Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if Brian Bresee came back, just because of the season that he had. Right, he no fault to his own. Brian Bresee had a rough season this year. I mean, we all know, that his sister died this season of cancer, and that's really unfortunate. And then he got a kidney infection and missed a game or two. And then, he was sick with something else where he missed a game. He's had a rough season. He's had not only some physical issues when it comes to sickness and things like that. He's had a lot of family issues, dealing with, his little sister dying and stuff like that. So I think he's had a really rough season. Do I think he's an NFL talent? Absolutely. Do I think if he went out in this draft, would he get drafted? 100% Brian Bresee's getting drafted. Any NFL team, that passes up on him is absolutely outside of their mind. But with that said, I don't think I would be surprised to see him come out or come back just because of all the circumstances that surrounded this season for him. What do you think, Jordan?
And it's different going from a 5 pick to being being scheduled 5 and going back in a round of, the bottom half of the first or second. That's a lot of money. So I think he will be losing out on money if he thought like that. I would. I mean, I'll just come back. But go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah. And I think this is going to be really interesting because I thought it was really interesting how Bresee played in the ACC championship game when KJ Henry went out. They actually moved Brian Bresee over to defensive end.
Bro,
and I thought
I'm trying to tell you, this dude looked like a new defensive lineman. I'm not gonna lie.
He did.
I I don't know, man. I don't know.
So,
Eh,
and that being said, I think there's something to the possibility that if he does choose, he could choose to come back and move to defensive end. He did play a lot of defensive end in high school.
Yeah.
He, but Clemson kind of they felt he projected more as a defensive tackle, but he has the athleticism and speed to play defensive end. He's a really really good pass rusher. Um, I thought he would, I think that could be something, especially with, the talent that Clemson is losing.
Yeah.
And kind of goes to a more odd front, three man front, type deal. I think he would have a lot of success at defensive end. So I think that, and to DeAndre's point about how defensive tackles their stock has dropped in recent years in the draft, and that's true. They're not as valued as much because you can get a lot of the kind of thinking right now is you can get a lot of difference makers later. But defensive end, edge rusher is still at a premium. Those are guys that still get drafted highly. And if Brian Bresee has, if he were to come back, play defensive end, and put on a really nice tape, I think it's possible he improves his draft stock by staying another year.
He could. He could.
Top 5 pick type.
And
level.
doesn't he remind you of a Christian Wilkins, right?
Oh yeah.
Just with like the ability. Yes, is he big enough and strong enough, and all of those things to play defensive tackle? But he also has the athleticism. If we needed him, he could move outside just as easily. We saw it in the game that you referenced, and he really put it on Drake May in those few series that he played defensive end.
If you go back and watch his snaps, he was brutalizing that tackle.
Yeah, that tackle had no idea what to do. Because I think he's just he's big and strong, yes, but he's also got the speed and the athleticism to go with it, which makes it a very dangerous combination, right? So
and then also I think he's more of a 3-3 in a 3-4 system like J.J. Watt. I think he's more of that type of player than he is head up over the thing. That's why I said, I think he'd be better to come back for a year, and I think that's where he's leaning compared to the other ones. But I think that if you see him come back, I think you'll see him have a dominant season. And Page will eat up a lot of blocks anyway, just like Davis did. So I think it will help him.
Yeah. We still have some defensive tackles that can really play. So I don't think moving him outside would necessarily hurt our depth there, because we do have some guys that, maybe they, if you don't pay super close attention to Clemson football, maybe you don't know their names too much. But, I mean, we got some dudes at defensive tackle that are waiting in the wings, after Tyler Davis and Ruka Rororo. You got Trey Williams there, who's an absolute baller, right? He's made a lot of plays this season. So, and we got dudes waiting in the wings at tackle that I think could play. Yeah, Peyton Page, Trey Williams, those two dudes come to mind.
People forget that DeMonte Capehart is still there, just kind of chilling in the third grade.
He's waiting for an opportunity, right?
Yeah.
And I think the guy can play. So, there's a lot of depth there at tackle, I think. And experience depth too, because those guys have played. They've played meaningful snaps for Clemson. So it's not like they haven't been on the field. We've seen these dudes play, and we've seen them make significant plays in games that were still in doubt. So it's not like they're just getting in at the end of games and we haven't seen them in any real game film. We've seen these guys. So
does E.T. Rubin have any more eligibility left? I'm wondering. He's been there a long time.
I don't know. I would have to do some research on that before I could give you a real answer.
We have a special guest in the chat.
Do
You
we?
guys, you guys seeing who I'm seeing?
Oh, we got Dabo Sweeney in the chat. Dang! What's up, Dabo?
What's up, Dabo?
I'm pretty
Good to
sure you
see
got
you.
some.
Nice.
Yeah, it's nice to see you, but real talk, I feel like you got some better things to do than listen to me, Jordan, DeAndre.
Oh no. He likes
I'm
to talk about
flattered.
history.
I'm flattered, but I feel like Dabo's got some
My
better
fault. I was
stuff to
talking on
do.
the
I feel like he's got some better stuff to do. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Good to see the big man. And the big
Yeah,
man in
good.
charge showing
Yeah,
up.
the number one in
Glad to
Clemson.
have you, Coach.
Yeah, glad to have you on the show. If you could give us an interview and help us out, if you really want to watch us, you could give us an interview and help us out.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Okay, Edward. He's a junior. Okay, cool. Then he's then there's a decent chance he comes back unless he decides to the portal. That's good, man. Yeah, Clemson's got a lot of depth at D tackle.
We do.
Shout out to
we really do.
Tim Prangley, good to see you. My Southern, the real USC.
Yeah.
My Southern Cal brethren.
Shout
good
out
to see you, man.
to the real USC. Shout out to the real USC.
Also St. John Bosco alum Prangley, obviously the high school of DJ Williams and Bo Collins. So
hey, we have we have
an all-star chat in here.
We do have an all-star chat in here. What is going on? Let's give some shout outs to the chat. Keep going with some shout outs to the chat, Jordan, before we move on to our next topic of the night. Let's get the chat involved in here.
Yeah, Tim, he had to Bo, he's he's not healthy. He's
had to
get
healthy.
surgery.
Yeah, he had to have surgery on his shoulder. So
he'll be
Bo Collins. He'll be back full go next season. But as far as the bowl game goes, Bo Collins will be out just like he was for the ACC championship game. So,
Coach says the only thing I have to do is listen to Kathleen. Yeah, you better.
Hey, yeah, that's right. You better listen to Kathleen. Okay, I know she runs Clemson. See, Dabo acts like he runs Clemson, but it's really Kathleen that runs Clemson. Okay.
Yeah,
everybody knows. Everybody knows
Colin.
Kathleen's in charge of Clemson. Okay, who you think runs the All In Foundation? Okay.
That's
it
true.
ain't Dabo. It ain't Dabo. Okay. So, all respect and love to Dabo, but he's not running it.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
We can hear you.
So let me ask y'all of this. I ask Mark silly questions like this all the time. Outside of C.J. Stroud, when is the last time we had not on the NFL level, but a good quarterback come out of California? Well, a great quarterback. Maybe Lana? Bryce Young, okay, too.
Bryce Young, yeah. Bryce Young. Heisman Trophy winner, national champion.
Yeah.
Who else you got?
There's a lot of them.
Stroud had a good year.
C.J. Stroud's really good. Yeah, that's another one. Just those two.
For the better talent that they get always hyped up with their quarterbacks out of the state of California, and I don't really think I don't think the amount of quality that they claim that they have matches what they have done when they got into college.
Jared Goff. Somebody in the chat said Jared Goff. Yeah.
Okay, he had to go to junior college, and nobody liked him, just like Aaron Rodgers, right?
But he's still an NFL quarterback in the league right now. So.
Yeah. And everybody got rid of him. Yeah, you're right. I'll give it to you on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a Cali.
Alex Smith, but all three of those guys we named had to go the non-traditional way. When I say that, let's look at Clausen out of the same school that DJ went to, right? Yeah, he had a decent career, but it wasn't anything to write home about.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, are we talking NFL success or just like
Well,
what's our
success
measure?
that met the high school expectations. And don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong for what I'm about to say about Bryce Young, because he is a great quarterback. But over the last 10 years, what quarterback hasn't had success in Alabama system?
Well, I mean, there isn't one Alabama. I mean, I don't know if that's fair. I mean,
Okay,
you
Tua.
watch Bryce. It's the eye test, right? I mean, I don't know how you watch Bryce Young and not see that he's an elite talent. Like he makes really special throws.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's not, but I'm just saying we named at least two, right? Like Stroud, Bryce Young. They all met their expectations coming out of high school, but there's been a lot of them that came out of California that has not met their expectations. There's more than not. Like let's look at Georgia for a second. The state of Georgia. Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, Matt Fromm in some ways, Justin Fields.
So
they have more hits than California. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, but they still had. I mean, who else? There's so many that it's hard to just like pinpoint one. Mark Sanchez. I know he's a meme in the league, but like he was, people like to make fun of him, but Mark Sanchez was really successful.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's really a California thing. I mean, every state has their bust. Josh Rosen was a St. John Bosco. That's.
Well, maybe I need to say St. John Bosco then. I'm not saying that DJ was bad or Josh Rosen was. I don't know why Josh Rosen didn't work out, but it's just. I think he wasn't relatable. Is that a good word to say? I don't think a lot of people liked him and wanted to work with him or for him, or that's what I heard. I heard he's a jerk. Like the stuff that he said about Deshaun Watson, because he was like, "Oh, this guy's gonna be the best thing coming out of college." Or Mark Sanchez is another guy. Not Mark Sanchez. What's the guy that transferred to West Virginia? He went from USC to Georgia to West Virginia. Now he transferred.
JT Daniels.
Daniels. It's like some of these quarterbacks that you hear about that didn't go the non-traditional route had a lot of issues. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's some. I don't know. I don't think it's a California thing. I mean, I just.
Okay.
I think there's.
I don't think so either.
I think they do a good job of producing quarterback. I mean, there's a lot and it depends on how far you want to go back. Because I mean, you see, Tim in the chat mentioned John Elway. I mean, obviously, one of the best to ever do it.
Yeah, I mean, there's
John Elway.
So
I can do John.
I don't know. I mean, California is a huge state. It's highly populated, so they're going to produce a lot of talent anyway. But I don't think there's a Tom Brady, right? Browning. I forgot about him. Washington. Jake Browning. He was a quarterback for Washington when they.
I know he was left-handed. He was playing as Steve Young when it came out. Yeah. I was just wondering because sometimes they just feel like they're more busted than anything. But you're right. Y'all named some very good ones.
We got way off topic.
So before we move on with the next topic, guys, we got 61 people in the chat right now, and I think we only have 19 likes on the video. Okay, or we got 55 people in the live chat right now. We only got 19 likes. Please go ahead and hit that like button for us. It'll really help us out on this live video. We appreciate you guys being in here. We will continue to interact with you guys in the comment section. but we got to move on with the show a little bit, okay? So help us out with the likes, and we will move on with the show. Jordan Bowman, we're gonna move on, and we're gonna talk a little bit about some transfers for Clemson. Right, we've had some recent transfers for Clemson. We did a show last week, so anybody who is hip to our channel here, hip to our show here, if you will, knows that we went through the 9 Clemson players that entered the transfer portal, and 2 of those have found homes, right? 2 of those Clemson transfers have found homes, and we will talk about those guys right now. So first and foremost, let's talk about edge rusher. Kevin Swint ended up at Georgia State. He has found his landing spot in the transfer portal. Are you surprised about his landing spot at all? And what is your reaction to it?
No, I mean, I think it's a good spot for him. It's going to give him a chance. Kevin Swint, I think he's a guy that felt his future was at linebacker. He was playing defensive end at Clemson, and he decided
he's kind of a thinner guy, right?
Yeah, he's not a bigger guy, but and I thought he played well in spots this year. Thought he really had a chance to push for the starting job, but he felt like it was best for his development and his future to play linebacker. The coaches didn't see him that way, and so he decided to enter the portal. And I think he landed a really good spot. Georgia State, they are a really, really stingy program. They give a lot of teams. They gave quite a hell of a year. They took North Carolina. And North Carolina and South Carolina, well, not down to the wire, but gave them competitive games. They didn't have a great season overall, but they're a really tough team, really good on defense. And I think Kevin Swint has a chance over there with Sean Elliott to be a big time contributor. So I think it's a good spot for him. I think he'll get a lot of playing time at linebacker. So happy for him, and hope he is successful.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, any player that plays for Clemson, I am a fan of. Anybody who comes here and commits to Clemson, I understand that some people are out recruited. I understand that, sometimes it just doesn't work out for whatever reason. And some players have to move on. And, Kevin Swint, for whatever reason, probably thought that he wouldn't get on the field much. We know he didn't get on the field this season, and he probably figured that he wouldn't get on the field much next season either for whatever reason. Does that mean that there's Clemson defensive linemen that are coming back that we don't know about yet? Maybe. Does that just mean that, he sees his place at Clemson and he thinks he can't necessarily compete for a starting job? Or does he just feel like he needs a change of scenery? I don't know. But I wish him the best. I'm glad he ended up at Georgia State. I hope he goes there, and I hope he balls out, to be completely honest. I root for all of these guys. I understand that a lot of people do not like the transfer portal, and to be completely honest, I'm not the hugest fan of it. But I do understand it, and I do understand that it is necessary. And it makes practical sense in a lot of scenarios. And if you're not going to play for a team and you know that, why shouldn't you be able to transfer, right? Why should you just have to, sit on the sideline, for 4 years and not really be able to contribute to a team? So I understand it. And I hope he plays well. I hope he contributes to their team and does an amazing job. So I'm rooting for all of these guys. We'll talk about the next guy in Billy Wiles, right? Billy Wiles, QB, ends up at Southern Miss. Another Clemson transfer. So we've now seen 2 out of the 9 Clemson transfers actually commit to another school or land at another school, if you will. What was your thoughts on Billy Wiles landing at Southern Miss? And was it a surprise at all?
Well, I mean, again, these are two guys. Well, I mean, both of these guys weren't major contributors at Clemson. Obviously, Billy Wiles didn't play much at all.
Yeah,
He's a former walk on guy,
right.
but felt he was here for a couple of years, did his time, developed a little bit, and felt like he had a chance to get a starting job somewhere else. Ends up at Southern Miss. I think it's a good spot for him.
For sure.
I think Southern Miss is a program that is a program that's kind of trending up at the G5 level right now. He's going to have some talent to work with. He's going to get to hand the ball off to Frank Gore Jr., who's been a star for the past couple of years at the G5 level. So that'll be really cool to see him. And I mean, happy for him, and hope he does well. I always want to see the Clemson, guys that transfer
well,
out of the program. Want them to see well.
I want to kind of spin it a different way, right? Could this not be considered a step up for Billy Wiles?
Like, I mean,
not in a program sense, but hear me out, okay? So the guy starts as a walk-on, really believing in himself at Clemson, right? Works his way up, develops into at least a good enough quarterback to be a transfer to a program like Southern Miss. I'm not saying it's the greatest program in the world, but I mean, maybe he's, worked his way up into now he's going to start for, maybe a program in Southern Miss. That could, I commend him for it, honestly. I think it's a great thing for him. I hope he starts all of next season. I hope he balls out, just like you say. And, is it a step up in program? No, but he was never going to start at this level, right? So, he got the coaching. He obviously developed, and this coaching staff at Southern Miss saw something in him that they wanted him to transfer into their program. So, I think that's some positive things, right? It's not always negative when it comes to transfers, I think.
Right. Yeah. No. I think it's a good thing for him. He's going to get a chance to start at the start and play. I mean, he wasn't a highly rated guy coming out, but
Right.
walked on, did his time, and now he's getting a chance to show what he's really got. So that's happy for him. And he was good enough to he walked on, but he worked hard enough to earn a scholarship. So happy for him, and now he's on to his next challenge. So really, I'll be keeping up with him, seeing how he does for Southern Miss.
Yeah, man, it's amazing to see some of these guys move on from Clemson, who have gained some experience and some knowledge with our coaching staff, and I truly do wish them the best.
Absolutely.
Let's see what the chat section is saying about our current transfers that have ended up in certain places.
Probably not much. These are not the most high profile guys.
Yeah, they're not. They're not. It seems like they're talking about Stetson Bennett right now for whatever reason.
We got Sir UGA in the chat. Oh, he's a Georgia fan.
Hey, Sir UGA, what's up, brother?
Regular.
Thanks for stopping
on a lot
by.
of other channels.
Thanks for stopping by. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button for us, Sir UGA, and hit that like button while you're at it. Dabo better stop blazing down that hill. Yeah, he does scare me sometimes. He comes moving down that hill.
He knows what he's doing. Y'all forget Dabo. First of all, I mean, he played football.
There you go. Take it.
Dabo works out.
Hey, take it away. Take it away. Yeah. You tell him. You tell him.
I'm just saying. I'm not going to go on a whole long rant, but hey, Dabo. I mean, he's a fit guy.
Hey,
I mean, he works
what
out.
He's doing, man.
Yeah, he's not.
This guy's a former receiver for Alabama. Look here, man. Yeah. He's an athletic guy. He knows what he's doing. Dabo is more athletic than people give him credit for. I can tell you that. But thank you guys for joining us tonight. If you are in the chat right now, go ahead and hit that like button before we move on to the next segment. We would really appreciate it. Okay. We got 56 people in the chat right now, and we got 28 likes. Okay. So get that closer to our number in the live chat right now, and we would really appreciate it, guys. Let's see, what is Edward saying? Rumor was Swint wanted.
Oh, he's echoing what I.
Oh,
yeah, we
okay.
said.
Yeah. Okay, we already talked about that. All right. So you want to move on to our next topic, Jordan?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. We'll see how this next topic goes.
This is the fun one, isn't it? Oh,
this is the fun one.
Oh,
you see that graphic I put up there?
Yeah, I do. I see it.
I don't even know where that came from. I didn't put it up there.
I don't know either.
I'm not in control of this situation we got going on here. Okay, so opt out versus quit. Okay, so I'll set this up for you, Jordan, and you can tell me your thoughts, and I'll tell you my thoughts, and then we could talk about it, and then we could talk about it with the chat, and we can see where everyone stands, because this is quite possibly the most controversial topic in college football over the past, I would say, what 5 years or so?
I mean,
longer.
It's really gotten traction in the last couple, but yeah, this is
really the last couple, but really when the playoffs really got started, this became a real thing. So we're going to talk about opt out versus quit. I see Mark Rogers in the chat section. A shout out to Mark. Thank you for letting us commandeer this Clemson channel from you and spew our complete nonsense that me and Jordan do on a weekly basis. We love it, and we try to do the best we can. So shout out to Mark. You guys go over there and watch his channel as well. But without further ado, let's get into the uncomfortable topic of opt out versus quit. Okay, so some fans would say Clemson got their first opt-out ever in the Dabo Swinney era, in the playoff era, if you will, including our Cheez-It Bowl appearance last year, where we had no opt-outs. Okay, so Miles Murphy was the first Clemson player to ever opt out or quit, depending on what side of the aisle you fall on. For the Clemson Tigers, right? He came out with a statement saying he's declaring for the NFL draft. He's going to forego the Clemson game in the Orange Bowl, and he is going to prepare for the NFL draft. We have another player that is not going to play in the Orange Bowl as well, although he is still with the team. He is currently hurt in Trenton Simpson, but he is also declared for the NFL draft. But he is still with the team. I believe he's still at practice and everything like that as well. Not exactly sure what his involvement is, but he is. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure he's like involved in practice, but
I don't know if he's involved in practice. Like, I know Dabo Swinney said that he was at practice. He had not opted out, but he was hurt and that he would not be playing for.
He might travel with the team. He might come with the team to the game.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of the thing, that he would be traveling with the team. So for this purpose, Miles Murphy is the only person currently that is not going to be traveling with the Clemson team for the Orange Bowl game down in Miami, right? So, Jordan, with all of that said, what is your take on opt-out versus quit? What camp are you in? I'm going to box you in here. You got to pick a side. Are you opt-out or you quit?
I am, man. Okay, I'm gonna say it. I'm in the quit camp.
Okay.
But the way I see it, I don't view it in necessarily I don't see it as in the negative connotation that it means. That people kind of put on it. I think it's quitting at the end of the day. And I don't, and for what it's worth, I don't see it any different than a coach, leaving, leaving the team before a bowl game, not a bowl game. I think that coach quit too, but
Yeah.
it's for different,
Okay.
it's for different reasons. But at the end of the day, I think it's still quitting. You have an you have an obligation. The scholarship is you're on scholarship to play football for the team, and if you choose, to not play in games, that you quit. Now, I don't think you should be I mean, obviously there's no punishment or anything, so it doesn't really matter what label you put. But at the end of the day, I do think it's. I mean, it is quitting, because you're choosing not to play for no other reason than you don't. There's nothing stopping you from playing. So you're not injured or anything like that, or any other extenuating circumstance.
Right.
And in the case of Miles Murphy, and I've said, I mean, yeah, he quit. He's not hurt.
Yep.
So that's kind of my take on it. It is quitting, but I understand the decision. That's
Yes.
kind of where I'm getting at.
Okay.
I don't fault the players for that decision. I'm not. I wish they would play. Yeah, absolutely. It's better for everybody. I think it's better for, the sport in general if guys are playing throughout the entire season, unless they're hurt or something like that, or some other extenuating circumstance. But I understand the decision. I get why they do it.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of pressure not to do it. So it's disappointing because this is the first time in Clemson for Clemson that highly rated guy is choosing not to play. Clemson has been a program that you mentioned last year the Cheez-It Bowl was
we had no opt-outs. We had no opt-outs for the Cheez-It Bowl.
But I was really interested to see how this bowl season played out, because while last season there was no opt-outs, there was really only one. There was really only one player that had a high, a relatively high draft grade, and that was Andrew Booth. So
right. Yeah, absolutely.
I thought it was. So it was going to be really. It was always going to be really. There weren't a lot of guys that it really made sense for them to opt out. The only other guy I think was Tyler Davis played in the Cheez-It Bowl, and he could have declared last year, chose to come back, so that was kind of a different circumstance. But this year there's a lot of guys on Clemson's roster.
Guess who's playing again this year?
Who?
Tyler Davis. He's playing again.
You think he's coming back?
No, I don't think he's coming back.
Oh,
he's playing in the bowl game.
Okay.
Abundantly clear to the media that if there's a game to be played, Tyler Davis is going to play in it. So, I think fans really enjoy that type of mentality from Tyler Davis. To your point, I understand the quitting because I think we use the word opt out to help with feelings in college football, right? We don't want to say players are quitting the team. We want to say they're opting out for the NFL draft, and they're declaring for the NFL draft. But at the end of the day, it's quitting. I am 100% in the quitting camp. Not that I blame any player for quote-unquote quitting. I understand the logic behind not playing in a bowl game that is not a playoff game. With that said, as a college football fan, do I like it? No. As a Clemson Tiger fan, do I like to see our first ever opt-out in the Dabo Swinney era for a bowl game? No. I don't like to see it at all. I understand, but with that said, I understand why Miles Murphy made the decision that he made. But I don't have to like it, and I don't have to agree with it. and that's
Right.
okay. Like, that's the beauty of, the country that we live in, and the freedom of speech that we have. We can disagree, and it's okay. We can move on, and we can still be friends. If you were in the opt-out camp and I was in the quitting camp, would we not come on here and do another live show next week?
Yeah.
Yeah, we would come and do the same show, right? Like, we
Right.
can agree to disagree. Like, it's okay. And I think that's what people are uncomfortable with, is to disagree. And they constantly want to, bash people who don't have their point of view. Look, if you're in the opt-out camp, cool. I understand where your point of view is. I just tend to disagree with you. And that's just where I'm at. I think that you have an obligation to your team to play through the season, and that includes the bowl game if you get an opportunity to play in the bowl game. Now, do I understand that, you could get hurt and you could potentially affect your draft stock if you were to sustain a serious injury? Yes. But I also think that if you're worried about getting hurt, you're probably playing the wrong sport, because football is a very violent sport. It's a sport that has a ton of injuries in it. And if you're afraid of getting hurt on the football field and you're playing afraid to get hurt, you're probably going to get hurt. So that's where I'm at. I don't like opt-outs. I don't like where the current bowl season is. I don't like the terminology, meaningless games or meaningless bowl games, because I grew up in a time where college football, where bowl games meant everything, right? Like Dabo Swinney built Clemson's program on winning certain bowl games, right? He wasn't in the BCS national championship game ever. No. But he built Clemson's program based off of bowl games, when he beat elite teams in certain bowl games that actually mattered, okay? So, maybe that makes me old school, and I understand that. And, it's a new age in college football. We got the college football playoffs. We're about to have a 12-team playoff, and I understand all of that. But it's just, I don't like opt-outs. I don't. I think you've made a commitment to your team. I think you've made a commitment to your brothers, your teammates, not so much the fans. Look, we get super emotional as fans. It's not about us, but I do think you've made a commitment to your team to finish a season, and I think you should honor that commitment. That's just me. I don't like the quitting that is now the norm in college football, but I do understand it. So I don't know how else to say it. That's where I'm at.
And I guess you can kind of pivot, and a couple of people mentioned it. I saw Terry mention it. What is this like? What is the solution? And I've heard a lot of people kick the tires about, changing how we compensate for bowl games. Introducing some sort of revenue sharing model, at least for because these bowl games, they make a ton of money from their TV contracts and revenue and all of that.
At least the New Year's Six bowl games, right? I mean, could they not do some sort of incentive program or revenue sharing with the players to incentivize them to play in the game?
I think that would. I definitely think that would do a lot to get, because especially if you're on these bowl committees, don't you want the teams that are participating in your bowl, their best players to play?
Right, and we'll talk about it. Probably next week or the week after, leading up to Clemson's bowl game with Tennessee. But that's a completely different game now. Like, look how many players have opted out for Tennessee. So when we have that bowl game discussion, which we will eventually on this channel, look how different it looks now. I don't think that's good for the bowl games. So, to your point, I think the bowls have a lot to do with it, and they need to figure something out in order to correct this. And part of that may be coming off of some of that money that they pocket every year for the bowl game. I know they, in the past, they've given these packages to players, and you get bowl gifts and stuff like that, and those are exceptions. But you may need to actually come off of some of that money.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's kind of a yeah. I think I think that's probably the best way because at the end of the day, money is a hell of an incentive as we've seen in college football. I think giving it's probably fair, to giving some of these players a piece of the pie, especially in these bowl situations. I think you could curb some of that. If you play, you get a nice little check. I mean, it's not like these bowl committees are these bowls are like hurting for money and can barely put a. I mean, a lot of them are sponsored by big time sponsors. Some
Yeah.
ESPN organizes a lot of them, so.
Mm-hmm.
It's and they're certainly not hurting for money. So I think that's definitely one way to kind of curb some of the the opting out that's happened in recent years. And
Right.
because at the end of the day, we're all fans, and these players they don't owe the fans anything, but
No, they don't owe the fans, but I feel like they owe their teammates something, right? And it was, I don't know if you watched any of the Clemson player interviews this past week for bowl practice, but it felt uncomfortable for the likes of Tyler Davis and other players to answer questions about Miles Murphy opting out of the bowl game. And why would Miles Murphy opt out, but you're not opting out, Tyler Davis?
Yeah.
You're also a really highly coveted NFL draft pick. Why didn't you opt out? And he's like, well,
we didn't even think about it. It wasn't.
He's like, I didn't even think about it. Like, I just play football, right? There's a game to play. I play football, right? So
James Skalski last year said something similar. Leading up to the Cheez-It Bowl, he was like, no one even. It was like it wasn't even a question. Like, it had never been a question in the past. Obviously, Clemson, before last season, they were going to college football playoffs, so that helps a lot. But
yeah, for sure.
Even leading up to the Cheez-It Bowl, the word opting out never entered anybody's mind, even the veterans that could have left. So it was, it's just kind of indicative of kind of the shift in culture, even at a place like Clemson that is prided itself on being really tight knit, and the guys play for each other. It's a really really tight brotherhood, but. They're not even immune to it.
I don't know how else to say it other than I hate it for college football. I just do, and maybe that's selfish as a fan, and it probably is, but at the end of the day, I can't feel any different. I grew up watching college football, from the time I was a kid. So, I just hate it for college football. It is what it is. I'll never like opt-outs. I'll always understand them. But I'll never like it, and I'll never be on board with the opt-out situation. I want to highlight Mark's comment here because I think it's interesting. Student athlete agrees to a scholarship. Scholarship is a contract. Contract should state that completion of the season is after all games are played. Therefore, player must repay portion of scholarship value. That's an interesting concept. I've also heard the concept of tying name, image, and likeness to completion of all games played. I've heard a lot of it. I've heard that if a player opts out, they're cut off from the team and the facilities. Therefore, they can't do a pro day there and stuff like that. I've heard there's been a ton of ideas from the college football community with opt-outs, right? But the thing about it is if there was ever a program that was like, okay, well, you didn't want to play with us until the end of the season, including our bowl game. Now you can't come to the pro day and use our facilities and stuff like that. We all know what that's going to result in, right? That's going to result in negative recruiting. So I don't really think that's an option at all. Although I've heard that option spewed out there by college football fans.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever. I don't think that's realistic. But
yeah, it's never going to happen. Period.
I do think the NIL thing is really interesting.
The NIL thing's interesting.
That's something you can't. That's something you can't enforce because obviously NIL is independent of the school. It's independent of the NCAA. It's
right.
So it would be up to the individual people who are brokering kind of put that clause in there. I think it would. I mean, I think that would definitely help if you stipulate. It's like, hey, if if you want all this money, and if you want us to hold up our end of the deal, you've got to play. If you're not, obviously extenuating circumstances, injury, and other stuff. But if you're healthy to play and you just choose not to, well, then you forfeit some amount of the money in your deal, and maybe we don't pay you for this. It just it all depends on obviously the structure of the deal. But
yeah,
I think that's an interesting concept.
It's an interesting solution, right? It could happen. I think. Terry Montgomery's got an interesting statement here. I see some people in the chat saying the kids get a free education that is pennies to what these players make for these schools. At the end of the day, these players can get hurt. What's your thoughts on that, Jordan?
I mean, it's true. I mean, yeah. I mean, these players can get hurt. But
sure,
they could get hurt in the other 12 games of the year. I mean, what's the point of? There's an assumed
what's the emphasis on bowl games, right? Like, how's that game any more dangerous than the 12 games that you just played?
Right.
And I think a free education is kind of devalued. Okay, like it's not like anybody who's paid for college without scholarships and stuff, like it's expensive to go to college. So I'm not saying that there's not risk that these players encounter, but I also think that we throw around free education as like this thing that's just like meaningless, and I don't think it is meaningless. If you're a Division I college football player and you graduate with a 4-year degree for free with no debt, I mean, even if you don't go pro, do you know how much further ahead you are than the peers that you went to school with? I don't think I think people devalue that a little bit. That's just my opinion. You can give your opinion on it, Jordan. That's just my opinion. I think people devalue the whole free education thing a little bit too much.
I agree. Yeah, I think people. Yeah, I think people do understate how much a 4-year scholarship is worth, especially for a student athlete. I mean, how much, because it's more than just tuition and books. I mean, it's meals, it's the facilities, everything is paid for.
Right.
Transportation. They get all sorts. They get stipends. They get all sorts of stuff. I mean, it is a lot of money. I think one player, and it depends on the university and all that. But I mean, a school could be paying upwards of 100,000 plus for each individual player, and so. And it's not pennies, but I agree that these schools make a ton of money. They make millions. They make millions of off of these kids playing the game, and so there's validity to that. But I don't think you can. Yeah, I don't think you can ignore the free education part, and I think that which is why I think finding some way to build a revenue sharing model that's fair for everyone.
Well, and I think that's the key, is building that revenue sharing model. And, I was watching Josh Pate, Josh Pate, right? The other night. And he was talking about, conferences sharing the TV revenue with players and tying that into staying with their current institution and tying that with benefits. So you make this amount your freshman year, you make this amount your sophomore year, and it building up until you're a senior and you make the most amount of money, right? So I think that's another interesting way to solve the issue with college football, and also give the players their due diligence, right? Because they are a very, they're the catalyst in all of this, right? Without the players, you don't have a model to put on TV. So I think some of that revenue sharing with not only the universities but with the conferences could also be a solution to some of the issues that we see in college football. I thought that was an interesting a point from Josh Pate and his spiel to fix college football. Because we all know we got a huge problem in college football. We all know it needs fixing. But at the end of the day, I think we need a governing body to fix it. Like, there's got to be someone with authority that can fix college football, right? And right now, we don't have it. You really don't want to force a kid to play, in my opinion. I agree with you, Big Mick. I wouldn't want a kid playing for my team that didn't want to be there. So I understand what you're saying. I'm not saying forcing kids to play. I'm saying more incentivizing kids to play in bowl games. Not necessarily making it a mandatory type of thing, just incentivizing monetarily, because we all know that's kind of the thing that makes college football go round, right? It's all about money. These kids now have the opportunity to capitalize on their name, image, and likeness, which I think they always should have had the opportunity to do. So, but I think there needs to be some changes in college football, because right now it's pay for play.
Yeah.
Any booster can pay any amount of money to any recruit to get them to said university, right?
And the problem isn't really the pay for play itself; it's the lack of there's no oversight. There's no
right.
There's no regulation. I mean, people are like saying, well, I mean, they make the NFL comparisons, and I'm like, well, the NFL has salary caps. They have
there's all sorts of regulations.
They have contract. They have collective bargaining, which is a whole nother can of worms. That's a whole that college football doesn't have. So, and that's something that would have to be addressed.
Which goes to my point of a governing body, right? Like, or a commissioner or something to control college football, right?
Right.
And as much as I don't want college football to look like the NFL, because the reason that I love college football so much is because it's not the NFL. I think it's too late. I think college football is just inevitably heading towards an NFL format. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, it's already kind of it's becoming more, and I think there's a lot of people, I don't know, that necessarily care about the health of the sport that are pushing for a more NFL like model. But I think there's the way everything is currently constructed now. It's not working. It's not sustainable. And there are a lot of problems. I mean, the way it was before wasn't perfect either. But
no, college football has never been perfect, but it has been one of the most, if not the most, entertaining sports on planet Earth, in my opinion. Now, granted, that's biased because I'm a college football fan, but I think the passion and the lure and the trash talking and the just the spirit of college football is what sets it apart. And I think we're heading to a direction where that's going to be lessened, at least a little bit. I don't think I don't think the passion of college football will ever completely go away, but we are diminishing college football a little bit. Not to be, a traditionalist or anything like that, but college football is being diminished by becoming more of an NFL model. But, as they say, the can of worms is already opened. So, we've already, we're at a 14 playoff now. The 12-team playoff has been moved up as far as the schedule of it. So it is what it is. It's happening. So we got to figure out how to make it better with the current model that we're heading to. And I think that's just what's important. You can't worry about, this used to be college football. Well, it's not anymore. So we got to make the current situation of college football the best we can. So that's my opinion on it. Anyway, for what it's worth.
All right. Well, that was it turned into the conversation I thought it was going to.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
You want to pivot off and kind of, I think we've kind of gone over everything we wanted to. Want to take some questions from the chat?
Yeah, so we've kind of me and Jordan exhausted all of our topics that we wanted to really hit on this show tonight. So we talked Clemson recruiting, we talked the transfer portal, we talked opt-outs. Oh, before we move on to the comments, Jordan, what's your take on Clemson's transfer portal situation right now when it comes to the quarterback? What was his name? What's his name?
I completely forgot about that. Yeah,
I did too. So I want to hit
Tyson.
it, but before we turn it over to the comment section and get off on our rabbit trails that we will inevitably do here in a moment, let's talk about Tyson, the grandson of Bear Bryant, and him coming to Clemson as a quarterback / graduate assistant. What's your thoughts on that? It's kind of like a Hunter Johnson situation, right? He kind of wanted to come to Clemson as a GA. Clemson's got a quarterback spot. We got a depth issue when it comes to quarterback. So what are your thoughts on Tyson?
Well, it was really interesting when I saw the report. I was like,
no, Hunter Gofro, not Grayson McCall. We're not getting Grayson McCall. Not a chance. No. We're getting Tyson, a 2-time transfer.
Well, yeah, it was really interesting when I saw the report that he was at practice, because he was a name, and I remember his recruitment. Clemson actually did. Oh, great, we got sex bots. That's how you know you're doing great.
Why? Every time, bro. Every time. Why do they come in here?
But yeah, Clemson actually, they never formally offered, but he did visit Clemson multiple times during his recruitment. I think he camped at one point. And so it was like, wow, I was like, I haven't heard that. I remember that name. And then, looked him up. And he initially committed to Alabama. He was a backup there. Then he transferred to Arizona State, didn't end up playing there either. But yeah, it was like, wow, I completely forgot about this name. But yeah, he's Bear Bryant's great grandson or something like that.
Great grandson, yep.
And yeah, he's obviously this would be a really interesting get. It's not confirmed that he's coming, but there's definitely mutual interest there, and I would be surprised if it doesn't end up joining the Clemson quarterback room. Obviously, he's not expected to come in and start, kind of to provide depth, especially with Billy Wiles transferring out of the program, and as well as DJ leaving. So it's a really interesting get. He was a low 4-star coming out of high school, so he kind of provides better depth because past Cade and Vizina's coming in as a true freshman. Hunter Helms would be the 3rd string guy, so
right.
Getting more, Paul Tyson will provide as a decent, third or 4th option. I assume 3rd option, but I don't know. You might have to compete for that. So I think it's an interesting get. But I'm not mad at it. It helps the quarterback depth. I thought it was really interesting. It's such a Dabo type of transfer move because Paul Tyson's former Alabama player. He's the great grandson of Bear Bryant. Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. It's like a typical Clemson transfer at this point, right? Like it's like the only other transfer that Clemson has ever brought in was Hunter Johnson. That was a graduate transfer that wanted to be a GA, but Dabo said, we got a QB spot, so go ahead and be a QB, and, we'll do the QB GA thing. We'll dress you out for games for emergencies, but you won't go in unless we absolutely need you. It's the same sort of situation that we got going on with this guy. And no offense to him, I'm not, knocking it. It's nice to have that older guy just in case, catastrophe hits and, your quarterback room is decimated for whatever reason, but not the transfer that we were looking for. So with that said, is Clemson still going in the transfer portal?
I mean, yeah. I think people have been kind of freaking out about this.
Yeah.
Like, wow, it's like
that's
this
why
is what
I asked
we're getting.
The question. Yeah.
No, Clemson is still absolutely,
yes,
vetting the portal, and they're still, figuring out who they want.
So
they have some guys they want, but
I think it's a little bit of an overreaction from Clemson fans just because of how the transfer portal has been handled in the past with Clemson. I stand by my statement. I think Clemson will pull some significant talent out of the transfer portal this season. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I could be absolutely proved wrong later on. And believe me, if I am, I'll come on here and I'll eat my crow, and it'll be what it is. But I think we pull some talent out of the transfer portal this season. I don't think this is indicative of a last year transfer portal where we pulled Hunter Johnson and that was it. I don't think it's going to be that kind of year. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Yeah, no, Clemson is absolutely still, that Paul Tyson isn't the only guy they're looking at. He just happened to be a guy they brought in, so I definitely expect them to. They're really looking hard from what I've read. They're really looking hard at corner, which I think is a big deal. That's definitely going to be an area of need. With
you need to get my boy Cypress.
Yeah. I would be over the moon if they got him.
Yeah, we're gonna make a special video if we get Cypress, bro.
Yeah. I think they're definitely wide receiver. I think they are looking at wide receiver. And I know they're looking to bring in an offensive lineman. Those are the three positions I think I feel pretty looking at, especially now that Clemson wanted to bring another offensive lineman in their recruiting class, didn't get the remaining targets on their board. So I definitely think they're going to look to bring in a transfer there, and then wide receiver they're looking at, and then the Virginia corner, and people are talking about him already. Fentrell Cypress, they've been in talks with him.
Fentrell Cypress,
Mike Reed had a long conversation with him. It's going to be tough. I wouldn't say I think Clemson is the favorite right now. From everything I read, Ohio State is going after him hard. They also need DB help. So, if Clemson doesn't get him, I don't want people to freak out.
It'll be okay. Yeah. It'll be okay. But we would definitely like to get Fentrell Cypress.
Absolutely, and Clemson is they're absolutely talking to him, and
I think we're in the mix for him. Will we get him? Who knows? But I think Clemson truly is legitimately in the mix for him. But obviously he's the number one cornerback in the class of transfer portals, at least. And we're obviously not the only school going after him, so there's no guarantee. Just like Clemson, last year. People say Clemson didn't go after anybody. We went after 2 offensive linemen. They just decided not to come to Clemson. So, sometimes people choose to not come to your school. So, but I do think we're in the mix for Cypress.
Yeah. And the thing about the transfer portal is Clemson, especially in Clemson's case, they're keeping a lot of things under wraps right now. They haven't really. They're not really as open as a lot of other schools about who they're recruiting in the transfer portal. So yeah. I think patience is going to have to be key. I know a lot of the fan base is anxious to land a guy, but all I can say is that there are conversations that they're definitely recruiting the portal and definitely in communication with a lot of guys. It's just they're very tight knit about who they're talking to, so you might end up being surprised.
Yeah, I think Clemson fans just want to see
that first
the Tigers land that first true transfer portal guy, right? Like regardless of who it is, if it's Cypress, if it whoever, it doesn't. I think it matters less of who it is and just landing that first guy. And then Clemson fans are going to be like, okay, we're finally recruiting the portal, right? We got somebody out of the portal
because they're tired of hearing well Clemson is talking to they're talking to people, they're doing this, and then
we never land anybody, right? So yeah, I think it'll quiet down a lot when Clemson actually lands that first transfer guy that's a meaningful transfer, right? Not a Hunter Johnson, right. Although no disrespect to Hunter Johnson. No disrespect to Bear Bryant's great-grandson, Tyson, but, those are not the guys that are going to get Clemson fans off the back of this coaching staff when it comes to transfer portal philosophy, if you will. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see. Yeah, sorry guys in the chat section. I don't know how we completely skipped over the whole Tyson thing. I think he was at Bama first, and then he went to
Arizona State. Yeah.
Arizona State, and now looking like he probably transfers to Clemson for some depth and some coaching opportunity maybe later on. So I don't think that's the end-all, be-all of Clemson's transfer portal recruiting class, if that's what you want to call it. It sounds weird to call it that, but
yeah,
whatever it is, the transfer portal. It's a whole new recruiting thing that none of us know what to do with. But let's get back to the comment section. If you have any questions for myself, if you have any questions for Jordan, if you have any rabbit holes to take us down, now is your time to get it into the comment section. We'll be on here for a few more minutes to take your comments, your questions, or your concerns. And then we'll pop up off of here and move on. We'll watch some college football. Hey, there's some bowls coming up this weekend, Jordan.
That's true.
There's some bowls coming up this weekend. Starting tomorrow. We got some bowls tomorrow. We got some bowls on Saturday. All good stuff. Can't wait to see them. Got some ACC teams playing this weekend.
Yep.
So I think we'll have some stuff to talk about. We got early signing day, or I guess primary signing day coming up, on the 21st, right? Is that when it is? The 21st?
Yeah, 21st, right.
21st, yeah. So we'll be, we'll be on next week talking about early signing day. We got tons of stuff coming, man. You guys stick around the channel. I promise you, we will have plenty of stuff to keep us busy, keep us talking about Clemson football. We are all in on the Clemson football conversation. So Huffer Billy Paul says recruiting surprises on the horizon. I'll defer to my insider, Jordan Bowman. I don't know if you guys know this, but Jordan Bowman's an insider in college football.
Here we go. There you go. Hyping me up now.
See, I'm going to keep doing it until you actually become an insider. That way I have an actual insider on the show. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you might be waiting a while.
Look, I'm willing to wait as long as it takes. I'll keep hyping you up.
No, but recruiting surprises on the horizon. I don't foresee any. I think Clemson's all but pretty much wrapped up their class for this cycle. They have a couple of guys they're waiting on decisions from. I mentioned who I mentioned earlier in the show, Khalil Barnes, safety from Georgia, as well as running back Jamarius Haynes, who Walter actually. Jamarius Haynes, he's expected to commit. He did push his signing date back to February. I do believe he's still going to announce his commitment next week. I'll have to double check that. But I still expect Jamarius Haynes to be a part of the class, be Clemson's second running back. What do I know about him? He doesn't have any stars. I think Jamarius Haynes is one of the more under recruited guys in the cycle, and especially in the state of Georgia. I think he's a really good player. Watching him on film, he does a lot for his high school. I'm blanking on the name at the moment, but he's kind of a do it all back. I think he has really good athleticism, moves really well, good size. I think he's a very well. He could be a good contributor at the Power 5 level. So. I think he's a lot better. I don't think he's a 0-star athlete or anything like that. No, I think he's a good player. And I think I think he got a ranking in the most recent. I might be wrong about that, but I think he got a. I think 24/7 Sports updated his profile, so so that's good. I think he's a really good player. So.
What about that?
Should Clemson?
Go ahead. Go ahead. No, you're good. Good.
Should Clemson switch Will Taylor back to quarterback instead of using the transfer portal? I don't think so. And Eric, the reason why is I kind of think I don't really have any I don't have like definite knowledge about this, but I have a feeling that Will Taylor is eventually going to choose to quit football and stick to play baseball.
I'm with you. I don't think Will Taylor's playing football next season. I don't think he is. I think he's going straight baseball.
So but that's I don't think switching him back to quarterback is really because he hasn't repped it in a while. He was he's still an emergency quarterback, kind of like Hunter Renfrow was, but I don't think that putting him in the depth chart instead of just getting a transfer guy really is the better option. So, James, what do y'all think about Grant DuBose, the wide receiver out of Charlotte? He was one of my when we did our transfer portal wish list last week. He was one of the guys I mentioned. I really like him a lot. I think
we did a whole segment on Grant DuBose last week on our show.
He's good. He's really good.
We really hope Clemson goes after him. I don't know if they will or not, but I mean, I think it's a fit for Clemson. I think Clemson would be crazy not to go after him. I think he would fit in well. I mean, he's clearly close by. I
think there's a connection. There's Charlotte. Well, their former head coach, they just fired him recently. Will Healy. He has a really, he's met Dabo Swinney, and they kind of have a good relationship. So I think you would have a really nice in if you chose to pursue that. So I like Grant DuBose a lot. I think he would be a really good get for Clemson.
Yeah, it'd be great. It'd be great to have him.
Number one, don't do that, sir. UGA. We're not turning this to a Georgia show.
He had a other question up here that I wanted to. Hold on. Here we go. Is a scholarship a contract?
Oh, that's a loaded question. That's kind of going to bring us back into the whole.
We're not going to get into the whole opt-in, opt-out thing again, or our philosophy on that. I think me and Jordan have made ourselves clear, and I think for the most part we're kind of on the same page. But I think in the traditional sense of the word, yes, it is a contract, but probably a loosely worded contract, right? Like, there's no
It's
ramifications.
in the loosest definition.
Go ahead.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's
There's no
it's not necessarily.
ramifications if you don't like complete games. So is it a
Right.
contract? Technically, yes. A scholarship is a contract. You're trading, in our case, football services for a free education and stipends and a meal plan and a room and all this stuff, right? But if there's no ramifications for this, that, and the other, then you know, I don't know. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I guess I didn't explain it exactly the best way, but yes, I do think a scholarship is a contract. But if the contract doesn't give any ramifications for not playing in a bowl game, if that's what you're talking about, then does it really matter? Right? So we got any more comments
Uh,
here?
let's see. James comes back in. He asks, who do you think is poised to have a breakout performance from Clemson in the Orange Bowl? That's a really good question.
Yeah, go ahead. We'll give offense and defense. Okay.
Offense and defense.
That?
Okay.
Offense and defense. How about we do that?
Man, that's a good question. I think Clemson is going to have to throw the ball a decent amount because I do believe Tennessee's going to do a lot to try to stop their thing. Yeah, their defense hasn't been great, but one thing they have done is stop the run. They say, well, we're not really good, but we're gonna make you beat us only at one thing. So we're gonna sell out, stop the run, and if you hit big plays over us, it is what it is. So I would pick someone from the wide receiver core. That obviously probably the popular pick. I already see a couple guys. Adam Randall. We've kind of been waiting on a breakout game from him. I don't think he's completely. And he said in his bowl practice interview that he's still. Conditioning has been the hardest thing about him coming back, and he hasn't been as explosive as he was in the spring. So I think that will be an interesting one.
I would go a different wide receiver.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to go Adam Randall. Because a breakout performance kind of implies someone who hasn't really made a huge impact.
I would go Cole Turner. If I had to pick on offense, I would go Cole Turner.
I think he's kind of the obvious. He's kind of the obvious.
He is the obvious pick. I would go Cole Turner, and then let's see who would be my secondary. See who would be my secondary. Jeez. I'm trying to think on offense anyway.
Yeah, I think Cole Turner would have to be mine. But
yeah, I think Cole Turner but it's too obvious. Like I like Cole Turner, and he'll probably be the breakout player of the game, just because the coaching staff has talked so much about him, and we've seen kind of his skill on the field a little bit. So I do think he'll have a breakout game, but I'm trying to think of like an unconventional guy whose name would not come to mind for most people.
I mean, it's I don't know. I feel like the entire wide receiver room in general could have just have a breakout day.
Maybe an Ngata.
Yeah,
because he's had some production this season, but it's been kind of quiet production, and it's been on and off, right? So I could see Ngata maybe going off in this game. So that
he looked really good. I mean, in the ACC championship
maybe
game.
That's my like dark horse,
really
or my sleeper guy on offense if I had to pick one, because I feel like Cole Turner is, he's kind of he's kind of obvious. He's kind of right in our face because he had some good catches in the ACC championship game. So I guess I'll go Ngata instead of Cole Turner. I'll go Ngata on offense.
All right. Well, I'll pick a different one then. Well, I want to pick a different one from Cole Turner because
okay.
I don't.
Yeah. So we'll agree that Cole Turner will probably go off in the bowl game, but we're going to pick two different people. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. There's a player that kind of hasn't been talked about much. He hasn't really played a whole lot. True freshman. But I think he has the ability, and I've heard a lot of good things out of I've heard a lot of good things out of practice about his ability down the road. I'm going to go with true freshman tight end Josh Sapp.
Ooh,
and
okay.
The reason I think he could possibly there's been a lot that's been made of his playmaking ability. He had from what I heard, he had a really good bowl practice yesterday.
Okay. Now, are you picking that because you think
see an increased role in this game?
Are you picking that because you think Davis Allen will have a decreased role in this game?
No, not necessarily. But I do think they're gonna rotate a lot more at tight end.
You see what I did there? Yeah. I tried to box you into a corner.
You tried to. No,
I did.
You almost got me. No. Allen and Brenningstool, I think will be, they'll definitely make an impact.
All right, so let's pick a defensive. Yeah, no, I like that pick. Like that, I would have never. Like honestly, I didn't even think of that. So I really do like your pick.
I tried to go outside of the box, and
I like it. I like it.
It's kind of a hopeful one because I've heard a lot of good things. I'm really excited about him. I think he could be a really nice player.
Defense.
I mean, Wade Woodaz has played a lot. I don't know. I think has he had a break? I don't know. Does he count as a breakout player?
I think he's in the same camp as Turner, right? Cole Turner, right? Like I think that's an obvious pick on defense because he hasn't played a ton necessarily, but when he has played, he's played really well, right? So where I could see it is Toriano Pride. Now, granted, that's not necessarily an out-of-the-box pick in my mind, but he hasn't played a ton this season. He's played a lot, like a fair amount. I wouldn't say a lot, but he's played a fair amount. But he hasn't really, I think, the growth of Nate Wiggins has kind of, overshadowed his ability this season. And I think he's going to be a baller, man. Like I like Toriano Pride. Like if you're not excited about seeing Toriano Pride's growth next season, I mean, I don't know what Clemson football you've been watching this season. Like that dude has played amazing.
You can name a couple of guys in the secondary that are going to be stepping up into bigger roles that I think have a lot of talent. I mean, Jaden Lucas. He had that big pick. Here, right in Clemson's back in Malden. He had a big pick at the end of the ACC championship game. Right. I could definitely see him carving out a bigger role and having a big impact in this game. I really like him. If you want like the definition of like a Mike Reed corner, I like Jaden Lucas is one of the guys I point to because he's extremely athletic. His vert is like the man has hops. He can get up.
Insane.
He's really good size. He's really long and rangy. I think he's going to be a really good player down the road. So I could see him making some big plays in this game. As someone in the chat already mentioned Sherrod Coble. Yeah,
Koval. Yeah. That dude's balled out this year when he's like that dude's been asked to step in to some really unfortunate situations this season.
Yep.
And has really produced for the Clemson secondary, which is not easy to do, especially as a freshman. I mean,
Yeah.
He's going to be a special player for Clemson. He's going to be a special player. You could just tell, like the amount of
He
times
likes to hit.
that too, and the amount of times that he's been inserted into a game this season in less than ideal situations, and he still performed above expectations. Is that's why I kind of picked Toriano Pride, is because he's been kind of introduced into some of those situations as well, as the same as Colville has, right? And those dudes have performed, not only adequately but probably above expectations. So I think the future's bright for the Clemson secondary. Not to mention the class that we're about to shore up.
Yeah.
On the 21st.
Anybody on the defensive line that you think is gonna
defensive line?
I want DeMonte Capehart to have a big game so bad.
Capehart would be a great one.
He's just been sitting on the back burner.
Yeah.
It hasn't really, he hasn't really been able to get on the field as much as, and obviously Clemson has a lot of depth at D tackle, but I would really like to see him have a big game because I really liked him coming out of high school. And I think he still has a tremendous amount of talent. So
Capehart would be a good one.
Yeah.
I saw somebody mention in the chat earlier Maskell.
Yeah,
it'd be nice to see him have a game where he really contributed this season, because
it'd be nice. I don't know.
He's a guy. He's a guy, and he's kind of there, but he's never really,
making impact plays,
right?
Yeah,
he's never an impact player. So it'd be interesting.
I would hope. Yeah, it would be nice to see him make a.
It'd also be interesting if we
been
saw
in the program a long time.
If we saw Bresee get kicked out to DN.
Yeah.
For the bowl game.
I think there's a decent chance you see
him
a lot
for the whole bowl game. You know what I'm saying? Like I know that's not like a traditional pick, I guess, for a breakout player, but if we saw Bresee get kicked out to defensive end for the entire game as kind of like a preview for next season, if he's staying,
I love how we're talking like we're assuming he's coming back.
Yeah, like he's probably going to the NFL. Like, don't get me wrong, but if he was to come back, like, wouldn't it be cool to see?
I don't know.
Him,
I wouldn't say even. I think it's 50-50. I just it's hard to get a read.
I mean, it is what it is. I wouldn't
be surprised either way.
Right. I think that's where I'm at. I'm at like, if he comes back, I wouldn't be like, oh man, I didn't see that coming. And if he went to the NFL, we also wouldn't be like, oh man, I didn't see that coming, right? So it'll be interesting to see what he does. I don't know if the Clemson defensive linemen are trolling Clemson fans right now and just like gassing us up on Twitter, or they actually mean what they say. So,
I think they're trolling.
I think they're gassing
maybe
us up.
One of them isn't, but
they're gassing us up, bro. Like they are they're setting us up for like a crash and burn.
Yeah,
they're setting us up.
I'm not even getting my hopes up. I quote tweeted. I think I quote tweeted KJ. I was like, yeah, y'all are some sadists. Like you're just trying to play with my emotions. This isn't funny.
Yeah, don't play with my emotions, man.
Yeah,
you do know
if they did choose to come back, I'd do a backflip right here on camera.
I mean, can you imagine if we had Bresee and KJ Henry and XT and like
Tyler
Davis and like Rook, all these dudes come back like, bro, no. I'm not doing it. No.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you're setting yourself up, but I mean,
I know I am. Dabo Swinney's back, by the way, Jordan. In case you were wondering.
Welcome back, Coach. He has a question for us.
Let's see what he's got. What's he got? Here we go. I'm back. I was actually talking about in one of my recent press conferences how Bresee wanted a chance as QB. He has a great effort. But what are your opinions about this matter?
Wouldn't be your
maybe,
worst quarterback decision this year.
yeah,
That's
probably not, Dabo. Probably not. You've made some
I'm just
abysmal
joking.
quarterback decisions this year. No offense, we love you, but your quarterback decisions left some to be desired this year. So, but maybe he would be better served as a fullback. I don't know. You tell me.
Well, I mean,
You get paid $10 million.
Has Bresee
You
scored?
get paid.
I think Bresee has scored a touchdown.
Has he?
Have we done? James mentioned the fridge package. Have we? I think we've done it with him once. We might have done it in the COVID year. I think.
Maybe. Maybe.
I think we did do it with Bresee once. Hold on. I think he has a rushing touchdown. Let me check.
Does he? He might. Yeah, refrigerator Perry 2.0 says LFG. Because of Club Neck, I'm picking Clemson to knock off Tennessee in the bowl game. Yeah, no, look, we'll get more into the Tennessee game, but they got a lot of people sitting out, and Clemson doesn't. Clemson's got one person, well, two if you count Trenton Simpson. But Trenton Simpson is also hurt. So I don't exactly count that as quitting. If you have a legitimate injury and that's the reason you can't play, I don't count that as quitting. But if you are completely healthy and you're just opting to, quote unquote, prepare for the NFL draft, I count that as quitting. Not that I fault Miles Murphy, not that I dislike him, and not that I won't root for him. I absolutely will do all of the above. But it's still quitting. Quitting is quitting. Definitions don't change just because it hurts your feelings. Tennessee has two. I don't know if it's a lot. The two best. Well, that's a problem. The production that Tennessee is losing. We're losing, a defensive end and a linebacker. They're losing a lot of their offensive production, Edward. So that's kind of that's kind of the issue, right? Like they don't have a good defense, but they have a killer offense. But if you're losing your two most explosive offensive weapons, that's kind of a problem, right? Especially when you're a team like Tennessee who leans heavily on their offense. Again, DJ is still a great QB and a great person. I think Clemson fans hope DJ goes and lives his dream. Yeah, we absolutely do.
Absolutely. I was joking about the DJ comment. I just wanted to make a quarterback joke because you said Bresee a quarterback.
Yeah, we absolutely wish the best for DJ. Look, I hope DJ balls out wherever he goes next year and then goes on to have a great NFL career. I truly do. All joking aside, all the sly comments, if you will, aside, there in no way do I wish any ill will on DJ.
Absolutely.
And if you do, as a Clemson fan, I don't know what's wrong with you.
That's weird.
Yeah, you're why are you making it weird, bro? Why are you making it weird? Don't mean to stay off topic here to learn about Clemson prep for the bowl. Happy to hear recruiting content. Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll start diving deeper into the bowl game next.
Yeah. Next week we'll do another live show, guys, and we'll dive deeper into the bowl game. We'll dive deeper into the Clemson recruiting class as well, because that'll be, let's see, the next time we do a show,
Post-signing day.
it'll be the day after signing day, right? So we'll have a lot to talk about post signing day. We'll have a lot to start addressing with the bowl game, and we'll just have a lot to talk about overall. So don't miss next week's show. It's gonna be a good one. Yeah, Hyatt's not playing. Yes, absolutely.
Cedric Tillman and Jalen Hyatt aren't playing, and obviously Hooker.
Hendon Hooker obviously got hurt, so he's obviously not playing. DJ was truly a Clemson man. Yes, he was through and through. DJ is and will always be a Clemson man, and a Clemson man needs no introduction. So he always represented Clemson in the most elite way possible, and for that we can always be thankful. What schools / schemes do you see as best fits for DJ?
The prevailing schools that have been kind of thrown out there have been, the teams out west. UCLA is the hot one. Oregon, but I would be, and I think I mentioned it last week. I think it would be really interesting if he chose to go to Arizona State. They have a new coaching staff over there. Kenny Dillingham is the head coach over there now. I really like him as a quarterbacks coach. I think if you saw what he did, he was previously the offensive coordinator at Florida State. And you kind of saw how he developed Jordan Travis. I thought I think he could, something similar. I know DJ and Jordan Travis are not the same player, same type of player, but I think he does a lot to give his quarterbacks. He does a lot to fit the offense around what his quarterbacks do well. So I think that would be really interesting if he were to go to Arizona State. Plus, Tempe is a really nice college town, a lot of fun. I think that would be interesting. But UCLA and Oregon obviously would be two good choices as well. But me personally, I think he would. I think he could do well at Arizona State. I think I like Kenny Dillingham as a coach, and I think he could help DJ with some of his weaknesses. So.
Absolutely. Anything? If you're in the chat right now, go ahead and hit that like button for us. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It would really help us out. We are on the road to 5,000 subscribers, and your help will be greatly appreciated. We got any other comments, Jordan, before we get out of here?
I think we've gone for 2 hours 16 minutes.
Yeah, it's been a long show, as are all of our shows, Jordan.
Yeah.
I don't like what is our shortest show this season? I don't even know.
I'd have to look. I think we had one or two under an hour earlier in the year. It might have been
under an hour. I don't think we've done a show less than an hour. There's no way.
I think
I'll take if we set the over under at an hour. I'll take the over. There's no way we've done the show less than an hour. That's just my opinion.
Syracuse Post.
I don't know. I may be wrong.
That's the Furman preview was under an hour. So there you go.
Edward said
that was you and Smitty. I think it was just you and Smitty on that one.
What was it?
The Furman preview was 54 minutes and 45 seconds.
Oh, okay. Well, I lost.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Lost.
Good thing I'm not.
I should have bet money.
Yeah. See, you didn't bet me. See, we didn't wager anything. I was very confident in my bet too. I would have bet you. You said they had a lot sitting out, and said we had one or two if you count Simpson. But by the numbers, I'm just saying the numbers are the same. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, you're right. I misspoke, Edward. I appreciate you calling me out on that. I did misspeak. It's probably about the same as far as numbers. I just think their production has suffered way more than us.
Yeah.
So
And they don't have the built up depth that
right.
that Clemson does.
They're kind of a new staff over there in Tennessee, still building their depth, still building their roster. So they same amount of opt outs, which is interesting. But I don't count Trenton Simpson as an opt out. I don't. He's injured.
Right. Yeah,
so, but with that said, it's 1-2. So whatever. It is what it is. Well, guys, if that's all you guys have, I think that's all we have for this live show. We've been going on for almost 2 hours and 20 minutes. Thank you guys for turning out. Thank you guys for coming into the chat, getting your thoughts in, hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button. We really do appreciate it. We again are gonna be bringing content to you throughout the quote unquote off season or the season where we don't play football games. Okay, so stick around. Me and Jordan will be here. DeAndre will be here as well. And we will bring to you the most elite college football content that we possibly can when it comes to Clemson football. And then we'll get into other college football content as well throughout the offseason. So don't disappear on us. Come back and interact with us throughout the offseason. We will be here every week with at least one live show, possibly more. Depending on what we have going on, because believe it or not, Jordan has school. I have a job. This is not our primary thing that we do, but at a minimum, make no mistake about it, at a minimum, we will have a weekly show throughout the off season. Hopefully we can muster up more than just a weekly show. We got a couple ideas out there, so stay tuned for all of our content here on the Voice of College Football Clemson channel. Jordan, send our folks off this evening.
Yeah, guys. Once again, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Great show tonight. A lot of interaction. Our numbers have grown really well. We're already over 4,000, getting close to 4.1 thousand. So we hit that milestone pretty fast, and we're climbing. So I appreciate it. Share this. We've already said like and subscribe, but also share this channel, share these lives with other Clemson fans, other college football fans, because I think we're doing a really nice job of growing this channel here. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in. And bowl season is upon us. When we'll dive deeper into Clemson's Orange Bowl matchup with Tennessee next week. So looking forward to that. Make sure you guys, hit the notification bell so you guys know when we go live as well. Thank you guys, and we will see you next week.
All right. I am Tiger Paul Craven. He is Jordan Bowman, and we are checking out.
Later.